If you're someone that doesn't like earbuds with silicone tips, if you find they cause a little bit too much pressure in your ear, maybe a bit of pain, they're just uncomfortable for you, or you like to hear ambient noises come through and not be sealed off with silicone tips, then you'd probably like this style of earbud here, which is an open ear style, similar to that of the AirPods. So they are called the Air3 Deluxe HSs. They're from SoundPEATS, and we do have with these 14.2mm drivers to help deliver better bass with this style, and they're high-res certified. They are LDAC supporting earbuds, so that's that higher bitrate codec to improve the audio quality. You shouldn't hear any compression then when it comes to the highs that you sometimes can with, say, the SBC or AAC codecs. Runtime of this model is 5 hours on a single charge, and you do get an additional 3 charges from the small little case here. It does have an application, and I'll be running through everything, and I'll let you know how I feel they sound and what you can expect from the microphones that do have active noise cancelling with them. So in the box you'll find a Type-C to Type-A cable. We have our user guide, an app introduction, and of course the Air3 Deluxe HS. As for the weight of them, well, they are very light, as you can see, 4 grams, and the total weight with the case is just 36 grams. The case size is nice and small and compact, and it does fit in that little pocket in some jeans if you're wondering. It does, yes. So with the lid, it opens and closes, and it sits closed there. There's a magnet that seems to hold it in place, and the earbuds sitting inside there, they don't rattle around, which is really good. Now, we've got a status LED, which will let us know the battery life. Now, we'll show a different color. The lower it gets, changes in color, of course. So green is fully charged at the moment, and that is in the user manual information on that. We do have this button here to pair it up, and it is painted. You can probably see just the different layers here with the reflection of the black, that it's a painted plastic they've used, and the build quality and the finish is good. We have SoundPEATS branding on the back, and our Type-C port down the bottom to charge it. Then the earbuds, they're sitting in there nicely. Okay, they've got their pogo port pin connectors at the bottom there to charge them. There's the connectors right there, and they're very easy to take them in and out. When you open up this case, they pretty much will start to pair up straight away then, and when you get them on, they're already connected by then. The Air3 Deluxe HS, as you can see, are using that open ear style. So it's not the ones that go in your ear canal with the silicone tips, but this style which some people do prefer because it's more comfortable. If you're someone that has issues, you get fatigue with the silicone tips, you don't like them, you feel pressure, whatever, then these are a lot lighter. That's why this style still is around and exists. Me personally, I don't like it as much as silicone tips that block out ambient noise. They give a good seal, and to me the sound quality is always superior when I do have the silicone tips and the inner ear style. But nevertheless, this is the way it is, of course, with this particular model. And the style looking a little bit, yes, of course, like AirPods, the original ones, but in black and not white, of course. But there are some differences to it. So capacitive touch point here is on the back. We do have status LED. There is a microphone down the bottom. So there are 2 noise cancelling mics. Later on, I will give you a sample of them. And they're using just over 14mm drivers within these. And of course, LDAC. So we get that high bitrate, high quality codec, which is a bit of an odd choice considering their open ears. I would have thought the ones with the silicone tips inner ear style would have actually been better suited to using the higher quality LDAC codec, but that's what they've gone with. This will vary here depending on what phone you're using, but for me, with this device here running MIUI, with Android of course, I've got this option to enable LDAC. So I go into the settings of the Air3 Deluxe HS, find LDAC at the bottom here, and then enable it. And it will give me this warning. It will tell me that it's going to increase the power consumption. You do notice this. It really does reduce the battery life. It improves the quality a little bit, but I can barely hear it with this style of earbud, really, the difference between it. So if it's not using that, it will be using AAC or the SBC codec, and the range is also reduced too as well, I've noticed. With LDAC, it doesn't seem to be quite as good, the range of, say, using AAC or SBC codecs. But for the duration of this review and all my testing that I've been doing so far, I have been using the high-res audio LDAC codec. So the application is called SoundPEATS, and you do need to register for it and log in. Sadly, there is no option just to go straight into it without having to register like other brands do offer. So you can see our battery life here, which is good to know. Otherwise, there's no real way to tell it. Unless, of course, you've got them in the case, then they'll probably be fully charged. But you can log in and take a look and say, okay, I've got 50% left or whatever. And you will see here, we've got options for the volume control, adaptive equalizer, so you can run through that and it's going to then adapt that to you, what you seem to like, your preferences there, your personal tastes. And we have our presets. So you've got SoundPEATS Classic. There's a few other options, as you can see, bass reduction, bass boost, and pretty straightforward there, these presets for equalizers that others would offer. So what I've gone with is the SoundPEATS Classic. Just left it on that because it is the default. You also have a custom equalizer, so you can go into this and then just adjust it to how you prefer. Maybe you like your treble, so you just boost up the highs there. You can do that. Gaming mode as well. So I will be testing that out later on when I do test out what it's like to stream with it. And you can disable the one touch, one key functionality if you wanted to, and in-ear detection too. If you wanted to turn that off, you do have that option. So that there is the application. Very basic and straightforward, but it's good to have. And how they sound, well, to my ears, they are bass-wise for open ear style, not bad. And you can see why they went for a 14.2 millimeter bio-coated dynamic driver with them. So a larger driver trying to produce more bass here because they just have to, well, boost the volume a little bit more, I find too, because of this style not being the inner ear. In that regard, I do find there that the bass sometimes, depending on the genre of music, I find more with maybe like club tracks with dance music, that the bass can be a little disappointing. It's not quite as deep and as powerful with some of the common stuff that I always listen to compared to in-ears. And this is where I feel we have the shortfalls of this style of earbud. That yes, it's more comfortable. Yes, your ears can breathe. It's probably more healthy for us. But we don't get the isolation. We don't get the seal. We lack the bass a little bit. Now the mids, vocals, they sound good. I can push the volume really high and it doesn't clip or distort. That's good. The highs are reasonably detailed. For me, it's just, again, some tracks there just missing a little bit on those lows. So you don't get that super bass you can get with others. And even other tracks that I would be listening to, some other genre of music, it just feels like it's lacking a little. I find it to be a bit disappointing, to be honest. And I've always found this anyway with this style, you could say the Apple style, right? Of this, the open ear style, just seems to be the shortfall of it is the lows. They can just never be as good, sadly. Now the LDAC here, this is where I feel it's wasted. Using LDAC, I'm just losing battery life and I'm not really gaining that much. I don't really hear much of a difference at all from using AAC to the LDAC, not with this style, again, of earbud. As for the latency, I've tested this out using the gaming mode. So this is Amazon Prime Video here. The same with Netflix, that it does seem to be in time, in sync with people's mouths here. So it won't annoy you in that regard. However, I've noticed that with gaming, there is still a slight delay. And if you do happen to have an iPhone, also tested that out, I've noticed that the iPhone latency for me seems to be a tad slower, maybe even a bit more noticeable than it is here with an Android phone for some reason. Onto our microphones now. So we have dual noise cancelling microphones, and I do have a ambient track playing of a train station, and I've turned the volume right up. So you can probably hear it's combating that noise. The good thing is, for voice calls, I am coming through nice and clear, and that's what you want. The fit of these earbuds is probably another reason why people would go for them, because they are very comfortable. There's no pressure, no fatigue in wearing these for hours on end. You simply just need to slot them into your ears like so, and that's it. They are paired up, of course. It's very quick and really comfortable. This is the good thing about them. And I can hear ambient noises just fine because without the silicone tips, there's no seal. It's not blocking off some of that noise, which is something I do actually like, to be a little bit more isolated there with the silicone tips. So very comfortable. Now, have they fallen out on me when I've been wearing them now for a week? They haven't. However, I have to say that I feel like sometimes they are gonna fall out on me, but they haven't. But often do find myself doing this, giving them a bit of a twist just to make sure they're in there properly. And if you jump up and down on things, they should not come out, but I just don't find the comfort of them, well, the fit, should I say, as good as ones that do have the silicone tips to them, or the sound quality. The bass, however, for this style is very good thanks to that 14.2 millimeter drive. I mean, you do hear powerful bass, but it's just not quite, for me, as good as the silicone tip ones. The in-ear style, I just find for me is superior, and I think a lot of people will be like that too. But yes, I do see the other side of the argument that, of course, these are more comfortable. They're maybe even quite a bit more healthier for our ears too, because our ears can breathe where they're not sealed off. So the microphone sample, as you heard, it's not bad. You can still make out and be heard when you're talking in your conversations. You can handle phone calls with these just fine. I think the microphone quality there is acceptable. They sound decent. They're good. It's just lacking a little for me personally, but hey, mids, highs, they're still there. Good volume. You can really pump these up nice and loud, and there's no distortion. There is no clipping. Battery life, I wish it was a little bit better than what it is. So up to about 5 hours, but really in my experience with LDAC at least, you're looking around 4 and just under 4 hours with them, but you do get the 3 additional charges. The app, good to have that too, that we do have, of course, the equalizer there, custom equalizer, and their own presets there. So thanks a lot for watching my review here of the Air 3 Deluxe HSs from SoundPEATS.